Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sam's Financial Corner. In today's episode, you know what I realized? I always say episode, and I don't know why. But then also, I realized I never count the numbers, so I don't know what episode this is. Maybe I should change the wording. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to structure your paycheck. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh my God, this is another budgeting video. I don't want to talk or even think about budgeting. And this is not a budgeting video per se. And if you stay with me to the end, please watch to the end. Well, please watch anyway. Like, comment, subscribe. All of that good stuff is good for the algorithm. I normally say that stuff at the end, but you're really supposed to say it kind of beginning or middle, whatever. You know, there's a formula and rule to everything, and I'm still getting used to this stuff after I've been on and off of YouTube for a couple of years. But anyway, I digress. So again, today I want to stay focused, I promise. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how to structure your paycheck. And I'm not talking about budgeting, and here's why. There are apps that can help you. If people want a list or, rate some apps, I can do that. Let me know. Just drop in the comment section, let me know. But I'm not talking about how to budget. I'm talking about how to structure your paycheck. What I'm talking about is the psychological or mental application of discipline when it comes to organizing your money. A budget, simply put, is when we do a budget, people are like, I'm doing this budget, yeah, because you want to organize. Your budget is the goal of where you want to be. Your real budget, just take your bank account, download 3 months worth of statements, organize it by vendor category, whatever you want to do it. Well, basically by like vendor, and you see where your money goes, and that's your true budget. That's how you spend. The budget that you create is where you would like to be. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what I like to call that place in between. Because if you watch my video, there's a video I have called The Psychology of Money. Please go check it out. It's really, really going to help you. I promise you, it's not another budgeting. It's how you think about your money. And what we're going to talk today is about how to structure your paycheck, because you have to think about how you get paid differently. And so we're going to talk about how I structure my paycheck and income from my 9 to 5. I'm not going to deal with other stuff. I'm just going to deal with the 9 to 5. And so we're not going to get into specifics and numbers per se. I'm going to teach you how to begin to think about your money differently, because money is a tool, and money that has no purpose will never stay with you. There are a billion reasons why, or excuses to spend money. Everything's out here wanting you to spend, 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 spend. And there's nothing wrong with spending money and enjoying life. But you also want to make sure that the money that you earn, because you sit on your 9 to 5, you have to deal with your coworkers who have bad attitudes, bad breath, who don't know how to do their job, who barely work, who come and go as they please, and all types of other things. And sometimes you have managers who nag you, get on your nerves, question everything you do, and don't know anything. And we go through a lot. We're not even talking about personal life. Just with our jobs, it's a lot. We deal with people who want to tell us how to do our jobs, just et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot. But what I want you to understand is that you've earned this money, but I want to teach you how to start thinking differently about your money so that more money stays with you. And that's why I have this blank Excel spreadsheet. Don't worry, it's just for organizational purposes. We are not dealing with numbers, because I know some people are like, oh my God, I hate numbers. Don't worry, we're not dealing with that today. We're just going to, I just use Excel because my handwriting, if you saw my handwriting, you'd be like, Sam, are you a doctor? And I'm like, no, I'm not. But sometimes when I write, it does look like it. But anyway, let's get started. So the first part of what I do is, the first way that I organize my paycheck is, I'm going to call it the operating fund. And I'm going to just use fund because I've dealt with grants over the years. And fund account, oh no, I don't know if I want to go into definitions of fund accounting and stuff. You're like, Sam, no, that's too deep. But Basically, fund accounting is just allocating money for particular purposes, restricted, unrestricted, etc. But we're going to just talk about it. So there's the operating fund, and the operating fund is just for bills, just for bills. And so I structure, there's a part of paycheck, of course, it goes to bills, rent, cell phone, internet, etc. That all of those things are allocated for that. The second way I do it is we're going to call it the investment fund. And the investment fund is just self explanatory, it's for investments. I allocate a certain portion of my paycheck to investing, and I encourage you all to do the same. Investing can be in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, EFTs, ETFs, exchange traded funds, small cap stocks. I really do like those. Sites that I would suggest are Start Engine, Republic, or WeFunder. I did have an investment with Mainvest, but Mainvest is shutting down, so I can't recommend that to you guys. And check out my Mainvest video when you have a chance, just so that you can learn more about the difference of when you're investing in small caps, what type of investor, and also what type of investment it is. So check out that other video. So I allocate a portion of it to the investment fund. The next is the savings fund. Now this one is, and of course that's just savings, but I do it a little differently. So my mother always tells a story about, my grandfather and what he would always say, save $1 a day. I think it would save $1 a day. Yeah, it would save $1 a day. So with savings, you can do it different methods. So I'll teach you some of the methods that I use. Number one, I allocate a certain portion of my income to savings, and that's very important. For those of you who have a hard time or struggling, this is what I suggest. Remember, savings is a habit. Do not let people make you think that you have to put 20-30% of your paycheck away. Now if you can do that, that's good, but if you're not there yet and you're not at that place, start with something. I tell people sometimes start with as little as $5, an automatic deduction. And I know people like, Sam, that's really small. Yes, it's really small, but you get in the habit of savings. And what you want to do is, once you build up your confidence and feel good about something that you're doing, once you get in the habit of savings and not having to touch it, that the money in your savings account is for savings only. It's for savings, and yes, you can allocate it that it's for emergencies. And if you say it's for emergencies, you have to state very clearly what are those emergencies. If you utilize your car to get to and from work and everything else, and that is your primary source and there's no other source you can utilize, then yes, it's okay to say, I will use my savings to pay for car repairs. That's fine. Health reasons, any other thing, that's fine. But with anything that you do with this, you have to be very clear about, this is my savings. I'm saving for a rainy day. I'm saving for 6 months, and I can utilize this money for certain emergencies, and state what those emergencies are. Be very clear with yourself, and then honor whatever it is that you decide is an emergency in your life. So there's operating fund, investment fund, savings fund. But here's something else that I also do. What some people do, which I've done in the past, which I think is very good, they do, I call it, well, they've called it something else, but I just call it the break a 20 rule. So they get cash, and whenever they break a 20, they'll put $10 in a jar, envelope, it doesn't matter, a 10, the 5, ones, and change. And they do that. And over time, that can be another great way to start saving money and putting money aside. And you can, again, if you're going to do that as an additional savings, you can set that up and decide for anything you want to do. You can also use a separate savings account if you want to, or checking account. Some people are like, Sam, I can't, if I have this money, I'm going to spend it. Okay, then it may be good for you to take that money and put it in a separate account, because I've had other people do it. They have a savings account with the bank, and what they do is they'll cut up the card. They'll only make sure that the only way they can access the money mentally for them is if they go into the bank. Of course, you can do it through app and connect accounts and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, you have to figure out a way until you get yourself mentally prepared that this money is for savings and this is for that. It is not for my everyday expenses. So that's another thing that you can do. You can do $1 a day method. Um, there are other different methodologies that people do. There's something called, I did this with my friend, his mother was from Trinidad, and what they did was they called it like a susu. Hope I'm saying it correctly. And what they would do, because she was a nurse for a long time before she retired and went back home. But she said what her and her co-workers would do, there would be a whole bunch, I think like 20, and I think they would do anywhere between 200 to 500 a paycheck. And what they would do is they would decide who would get it, the first, second, third, whatever, and then everyone would get it. And she said that's how she utilized that money to build her house and retire back home. And now she's retired, living her best life. Miss Pat, it was always great with money. Whenever she talked, I listened. Now, the only thing is her Trinidadian accent was really thick. And sometimes I didn't understand, but I was like, nope, I need to make sure I listen. And it taught me to listen intently. And I did, and I learned a lot of things from Miss Pat. Maybe I should do a video about the things I learned from Miss Pat. She was always wise and really smart with her money, and I just always appreciate anybody who is not only smart with their money, but willing to just teach you and tell you things. So shout out to Miss Pat, because, not everyone who learns is willing to share and tell you anything. And maybe that's why. But anyway, so back to this. You have your operating fund, investment fund, savings, and also, I kind of can share this, but business. So I also have a business fund. And business fund is for business endeavors. So that could be for anything. Now, the business and the investment, sometimes they kind of overlap depending on what the business is and what I'm choosing to invest in. But it's very important. And these are just examples. Again, I'm just sharing with you how I organize my money, and I'll put the little description here. So for me, for bills, these are, just monthly expenses. Um, then there's the investment fund. These are for basically investments, like I said, stocks, bonds, etc. I'm also part of a family investment group, so I'll put that here, family. And I do encourage every one of you, if you can. I know that not every family gets along. I know that not every person can be trusted with money. But there's got to be, my hope and prayer is that forever, anybody who is listening, that you all can come together and begin to invest, talk about savings, talk about personal finance. What I love about my family investment group, okay, so like the first 10, 15 minutes, it's just family catch up. We just have how is everyone doing, what's going on, and we just kind of have that personal time to kind of bond, because I think that's important. And then the rest of it, we get into business, we talk about things, we discuss things. And I kind of like that approach, because we allow that personal, but those business elements can exist at the same time without being in conflict. So my savings is just, the next thing is savings. And savings is just savings, you know, the things for like different emergencies, etc. Business for business. That's it. Also, when you're talking about, I do organize for what else? We'll call this just entertainment, and entertainment. Nope, didn't want to do that. Entertainment fund, and that's just for entertainment. The great thing that could be for, I just call it spending time with those I love. including yourself. And yes, I mean that. That sometimes I take myself out. I just go out, and sometimes I just me. And I think that's important that we always take time for ourselves, that we always budget ourselves into whatever it is that we're doing, that we take time for. I mean, I know there's a big health for mental health, self health, and self care, but even within your budget, budget for you and for doing little things that make you happy. And from time to time, the little kid in me that grew up loving comic books, even though my mother liked to throw them away, I still went and got more. Why? Because it's personal love. And so I have some comic books, and sometimes I may just go order some or whatever else, and I try to support black-owned businesses. So I see some on TikTok, and they have these comic books, and I'll buy them and just kind of do that. Also, I'm learning. Well, I've been learning for. I'm ashamed. I've been learning for years, and now I'm getting. It's better. It's getting better. So I found some comic books in Tagalog. I found an interesting way to learn. So I make sure I add myself into whatever it is I'm doing to make sure that I'm not just working and paying bills, but that I'm also learning or making sure that I make space to enjoy the money that I earn. I could go more, but this has been kind of a longer video than I wanted it to be. But yeah, this is how I structure mines. Again, I guess for savings, we can say for, well, I already know, like for a house, I'm thinking of moving and doing some other things. So there are things I want to do a house. And I also, emergencies. And for businesses, either being like a silent partner, silent partner, or, future business ventures, whatever it may be. So that's kind of how I structure mine. It's a little bit more detailed, but I wanted to keep it basic just so that you could see how I structure mine. And sometimes what I realize too is a lot of times we don't know what to do. And sometimes by seeing someone else's framework, it allows us to kind of it helps us to form a framework that works best for us. You do not have to follow my framework at all. I call it a fun because I'm accounting for so many years, so I love numbers, etc. So I'm using the fun accounting approach, and I know this is a sloppy spreadsheet, but it's mine and it's my video, so I don't have to make it all look pretty if I don't want to. But anyway, this is how I structure mine. Um, Tell me how you structure yours. If this video was helpful, let me know. Please like, comment, subscribe. And before you do your budget, because for some of you, you may need to redo it. I want you to think about the things that are important to you. Think about what matters to you, and then make sure that's reflected in your budget. And the one thing I want you to understand is when you're doing your budget, be realistic. Don't lie to yourself. Don't tell yourself I'm gonna do all of these fantastic things. Doing a budget is one thing, following it is another. So have this structure. Think about how you want to structure your money, where you want it to go, and why. Because money without a purpose will leave you. And so I want for every person to have the money they earn as much as stay with them as possible. All right, thank you so much for watching. And I really appreciate every like. I appreciate every comment. I'm just really appreciative overall. I really am. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Take care.